Here I'm again, and again with the great pleasure of introducing another prestigious award established by IBBY in 2018 in partnership with the Shenzhen IRead Foundation, to whom I extend my warmest thanks. Also for this award, I was lucky enough to be part of the jury. And I have to say that our work was full of emotions, because in this case, it was not a matter of evaluating projects, individual projects, experiences, but all lives. People who have dedicated their lives to children, to ensuring that all children are reached by books, and that in books they find enjoyment and support and tools to build the vision of tomorrow, and above all, a critical thinking. The choice was not difficult, it was extremely difficult. And in this case, too, Junko Yokota, chair of the jury, with her professionalism and sharp gaze, was an outstanding guide who helped us discuss all together and also overcome even certain emotional steps that the path of these lives aroused. Please welcome Junko Yokota.
Good afternoon again. Thank you for joining us for this. I'm Junko Yokota, chair of the IBBY-iRead Outstanding Reading Promoter Award. I was joined in the awards subcommittee by executive committee members Elena Pasoli, Ingrid Kallström, Luis Sendrera, and Tina Bilban. We met following the executive committee meeting in Madrid in September of 2023 and carefully considered all the notable nominations. It was inspiring to read about so much of the wonderful work being done on behalf of children around the world. We found two in particular that we want to share today. But first, I want to acknowledge the work of iRead. I first want to acknowledge the generosity of our sponsors, for without them, this award would not be possible. Xinting Wang and Wen Li, please accept our sincere appreciation for your generosity, which makes this award possible. Your role in supporting children's reading and reading promotion in China has gone beyond the borders of your country and has certainly helped in the work of reading promoters and their projects in other countries as well. This extraordinary gift of support makes a difference in the lives of the winners who selflessly give of themselves in the goal of reading promotion. Please join me on the stage and greet the audience.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Xinting from the iRead Foundation. I'm also the daughter of Wen Li, who is the founder of the iRead Foundation. It's my great honor and pleasure to be here in this beautiful city of Trieste to celebrate the amazing achievements of the winners of IBBY-iRead Outstanding Promoter Award 2024. First of all, my warmest congratulations to the two winners, Bassaret Kazim and Irene Vasco. On behalf of the iRead Foundation, I would like to thank jury president Junko Yokota and all the jury members for the hard work they did and for choosing the two outstanding winners. I also want to thank IBBY Executive Director Carolina Ballester, IBBY Italy, and everyone else involved in organizing this amazing award ceremony today. You will hear Bassaret and Irene share the great work they have done later, so I won't say too much about that. But I have had a wonderful opportunity to interview them both after the winners were announced in Bologna. And I think you can find the interviews on IBBY website. It's very long, but you can learn a lot about them. And I am really moved by all the things they do, and I am moved by their decades of commitment, by their fearlessness, going to the most difficult places, helping the most vulnerable children, by their innovation, converting everything possible into a library. And by their love to all the children in the world, and by their firm beliefs, believing that one person here and one person there, little by little, we can make a difference. It is because of all the things Basaret and Irene have done, and all the other reading promoters in the world have done, that I really feel the value of this award. Some of you probably know a little bit about iRead, but I still would like to take this opportunity to briefly share our work. So everything we do is for one mission, that is to share the joy of reading with every child and help raise lifelong readers. And we are a foundation based in Shenzhen, China. And we do try to fulfill our vision through different programs which try to tackle different issues. So one important area of our work is book recommendation. And we do this by curating many book lists and recommending high-quality new books every year. Our book lists cover ages 0 to 12 years, and are leveled by age and grade and sorted into different genres and topics, so it's very easy for parents and teachers to find the books they need. And 16 years, why did we start recommending books? It's because 16 years ago, when we started donating books to school libraries in China, we realized that it actually takes a lot of hard work to find books that are suitable for children of different ages and that children really enjoy. So, and we also knew that putting the right reading materials in children's hands is the first step to raising good readers. So we started curating our own book lists, and later we share them with others in the field. Now the book lists we publish are used by many NGOs, schools, teachers, parents, and children across China. So for example, we have a primary book library book list, which has 4,000 books in total, and the book lists are used by many school libraries across China. And also in 2016, we launched a program called Reading Start. We got the inspiration from Book Start in the UK. And this program focuses on the promotion of early literacy, because we found that there was still a lot of people who thought reading is just reading textbooks and children only start reading when they can read independently. So with Reading Start, we give out reading backpacks for free to children from birth to 6 years. And the backpacks we give out have 2 age-appropriate books for children, and 1 manual for parents to read, and 1 reading rule and some reading stickers. So far, we have given out more than 320,000 backpacks for free. And other things we have done include establishing Reading Start libraries in rural China, running training courses for early reading promoters, and we also developed a mini app that parents can use to search for books and reading-related information and tips. And also, in addition to operating our own programs, we make grants to other organizations in China that are dedicated to improving rural and migrant children's reading. So until now, we have worked with 50 organizations and 88 projects in China, and we also support basic and applied research on children's reading, because we think good research can really help our practices and make our efforts more effective. So that's a very brief introduction of iRead, and you can see actually a lot of work we do are very similar to the things IBBY are doing. So that's why we share so much in common. That's why we started this award together. Thank you. So to conclude, I just want to quote what Basaret said in the interview. So she said, "Despite all the horrendous things happening right now, I always believe it's never too late to seek a newer world." So I think this belief is what moves the IBBY community forward and what has brought us together here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for helping us learn a little bit more about the wonderful work that you do. Now I will be joined on stage by Ingrid Kallström, who will be giving the laudations for the iRead Outstanding Reading Promoter Award.
Thank you very much, Junko. The jury of the IBBY-iRead Outstanding Reading Promoter Award met a year ago, and we carefully discussed and considered all nominations. It was very interesting and hopeful to give every single nomination a profound examination. It is very encouraging to know that there are many reading promoters who are doing excellent work with books for children, to give children a chance to read, to listen to stories, and the belief that books and stories can change lives and give hope for the future. No matter where we are, it unites us all over the globe. The IBBY-iRead Outstanding Reading Promoter Award was first given in 2020 by the Chance and I Read Foundation and IBBY to encourage a real commitment to the cause of reading promotion in hope of spreading this dedication to others around the globe. The award aims to encourage further investments by individuals, organizations, and governments in the promotion of children's reading, and it will stimulate educational innovation, give much greater access to children's books, and an enhanced profile for children's reading promotion, key tools in global, social, economic, and cultural development. All in the context of Article 7C of the Convention on the Rights of the Child, that is, encourage the production and dissemination of children's books. Every 2 years, IBBY invites nominations from IBBY national sections that recognize outstanding individuals who are working to promote the expansion and development of children's reading. From the nominations, the IBBY-iRead Outstanding Reading Promoter Award jury selects 2 winners. The jury looks for suitable nominees whose work may include the creation and operation of outstanding reading promotion projects, the effective promotion of strategies in favor of reading policies, and advocacy of children's right to read. All nominations are judged on the predetermined criteria: sustainability, influence, innovation, and inspiration. The iRead Foundation has pledged 1,200,000 RMB yuan biannually for 20 years for this important award. The 2 winners will each receive 200,000 RMB yuan, and in addition, 150 RMB yuan will be given to a non-profit children's reading promotion project of their choice. For this year, the IBBY Secretariat received 13 nominations for the jury to judge. All of them were excellent examples of reading promoters doing outstanding work with the reading criteria I just mentioned: sustainability, influence, innovation, and inspiration. And after deep and thorough discussions, the jury made the decision. For the IBBY-iRead Outstanding Reading Promoter Award 2024, the jury chose these winners: Basarat Kazim, nominated by IBBY Pakistan, and Irene Vasco, nominated by IBBY Canada. I will now give a short introduction to one of the winners, and it's Basarat Kazim, and I will quote from the material submitted by IBBY Pakistan. Basarat Kazim is a selfless, committed humanitarian, an educator, a children's writer, social activist, and die-hard advocate of reading in youth, an ordinary person doing extraordinary work, end of quote. Basarat Kazim started in 1978 with only 1 library and 500 students. This very long period of almost 50 years shows a strong sustainability. Basarat Kazim is innovated and has developed her Alif Laila Book Bus Society to something which has now more than 7,000 libraries, used by more than 1 million children, and training thousands of teachers. She uses camels, yaks, rickshaws, bicycles, motorbikes to carry books and make them to libraries. She believes that every child in Pakistan should read, and she can develop almost everything to a library. Her motto is, "Sky is the limit." Her capacity of influence can be seen in the growth of training more than 500 teachers, thousands of teaching interns, and lots of other students, practitioners, and trainers. Basarat Kasim has a great inspiration to many people, and she has showed lots of examples of how it is possible to change the way you work and adapt it to extraordinary circumstances. We will soon hear Basarat Kasim tell us more in her own words about her successful work. Open the box. Open the box. Open this.
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Gratitude and humility are the two predominant feelings for me right now. I'm extremely grateful to the Shenzhen iRead Foundation and the jury of the IBBY-iRead Outstanding Reading Promoter Award for the great honor of recognizing the work I have been a part of. Since an individual cannot walk alone to bring about change countrywide, my mind is flooded with images of all those who have joined me on this walk and made this work possible. And so I thank heartily all the teams at Alif Laila, past, present, and future, for becoming the collective so that we could first create a happy space in Lahore and then move on to dot the map of Pakistan with cost-effective libraries, produce books for children, and introduce the joyfulness and compassion they experience when they open book after book and read their way through previously unknown worlds and people. Thank you, Amna and Sana, for being here today. They're both from Alif Laila. A very special thank you to my darling Aisha, who was passionately involved with Alif Laila for many years, but moved on to the heavens 2 years ago in her early 30s. I would like to thank the many teachers who became my friends and made school life less lonely for me. I thank my mother, who didn't quite understand her dreamy youngest child, but who understood her need for books and bought those whenever they came to the few bookshops in the city. While I was growing up, the books I loved were the Enid Blyton books. My favorites were the school stories, The Faraway Tree and The Secret Island. I often entered their pages and slipped into lands I loved to visit. I thank my father, who lived a quiet life, having suffered from a childhood illness, but who took pleasure in the fact that I read and wrote stories. I'm eternally grateful that I provided him the opportunity to feel proud. My gratitude to my siblings who tolerated their younger sister and her different understanding of how things should be. In fact, they still do. They still tolerate me. My husband, Midhat Kazim, was my support and helped me grow. My children, Tasneem Zehra, Amir, Mahi Zehra, and Ali, have always lent a helping hand, even when they were very young. And one of them was prompted to state, "You say you do not believe in child labor, but is that really so?" This after I had asked for help with typing and sending out letters to a few hundred people in the country and abroad asking for support. Tasneem Zehra, who is here with us today, still remembers that all-important letter and could rattle it off at the drop of a hat, should you ask her to. My gratitude to Peter Schneck, whom I had the good fortune of meeting at a storytelling conference in Delhi in 2005, where he invited me to set up a national section in Pakistan. How do I thank the children? They have been my muse, my reason for doing all I do. Their smiles, their beautiful laughter and giggles have been my heavenly food. They have sustained me and enabled me. Seeing the joy on their faces as some of them held a book in their hands for the very first time gave me the courage and the will to carry on, no matter what the odds, no matter how many migraines I had to deal with. We have been forever friends. And finally, I thank each one of you for your time and your gracious presence. I stand before you in great humility today, receiving the prestigious IBBY-iRead Award for my life's work strengthens both me and the work. Taking a page from Julie Andrews' book, I'll start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. My life began on a hot June afternoon in 1954, when my country, Pakistan, had not yet turned 7. Our family home was in Lahore. My childhood was very simple. My grandfather believed strongly in family closeness, so all the homes around ours belonged to aunts and uncles. Traffic was almost non-existent, so we could walk safely from one home to another. I had many cousins and I spent quite a lot of time with them, but curling up with a newly bought book was what I longed for the most. Despite being surrounded by loving family, I still considered myself the odd one out because I was very introverted, spoke very little and thought a lot. Even as a 7 or 8-year-old, I used to wonder why things were the way they were. And much later, when I read Umar Khayyam's "Our love, could thou and I with fate conspire to grasp this sorry scheme of things entire, would not we shatter it to bits and then remold it nearer to the heart's desire?" I understood that was what I wanted to do so badly. One of the highlights of my childhood was listening to stories in Urdu. The oral story culture was very rich in our part of the world, and while I was still too young to read Urdu fluently myself, I used to be enchanted by the stories an aunt of mine told us. Khala, as we called her, was a brilliant storyteller, and whenever she visited us, my sisters and I would surround her and plead that she spend the night with us. She would smile and let us know that was precisely what she had planned. Come nighttime, our beds or charpais were brought out on the terrace. In the summer months, Lahore is unbearably hot, and since we didn't have air conditioning at the time, we slept under the night sky. Khala would weave magic with her soft voice and charming tales, and looking up at the stars, I would imagine a world of stories and books. My schooling was at the Convent of Jesus and Mary, a girls' school run by Catholic nuns, where the teaching of all subjects was in English. Our school was housed in a stately brick building with huge playing fields and massive corridors. School was strict. We were taught to be obedient and listen to authority. And then there were government-run schools, where the physical environment left much to be desired. Learning was entirely by rote, and the rod was not spared. English was all important at the CJM. Unfortunately, Urdu was neglected, and I grew up reading very little in Urdu. The books were poorly printed at the time, and I missed out on delightful tales because of inadequacies of presentation. It was many years later that I delved into Urdu literature because of Mir Hasan Sahab, my teacher at age 15. He opened up the world of Urdu classics for me. Thank you, Mir Hasan Sahab. At 20 plus, I married the sparklingly brilliant Midhat Kazim, who became for me the university I never went to. After our marriage, we spent a year and some months in Montreal, Canada. I discovered Anne of Green Gables there and passed on my absolute love for her and her escapades to all and sundry. Our eldest child, Tasneem Zehra, was also born in Montreal. In 1976, we were back in Lahore. Our eldest son, Amir, was born in 1977. In 1978, Dr. Juanita Baker, an American living in Pakistan, set up the Alif Laila Book Bus Society, and Pakistan's first children's library opened its doors in 1978. This was, and still is, the Alif Laila Book Bus. Dr. Baker moved away to the US the next year, and Alif Laila's first few years were challenging, with presidents coming and going. I was the mother of 2 young children at that time, and my desire to do the very best for them prompted me to tell them a lot of stories and read to them at night. They started speaking at a very early age, and I encouraged them to look at the pictures in books and talk about them. That's when I discovered the Alif Laila Book Bus. It was love at first sight. Dr. Baker had invested in beautiful children's books published in the US. Some I saw for the very first time. When I brought them home to read aloud to my children, the disparity of what I was doing for and with them and what the majority of my country's children were getting hit me hard. The time had come to start chipping at what was and to change this sorry scheme of things entire. Catherine Alam, an American married to a Pakistani, was president of the Alif Laila Book Bus Society in 1980. We became great friends and together looked at things we could do to keep our beautiful library going. In 1982, Kathy took up a job which left her no room for her commitment at Alif Laila. It was then that I became president and my exposure to government-run schools began. The book bus had started as a volunteer movement, but Kathy and myself had realized we needed money to employ people. So we organized a children's carnival and raised some money for one more part-time librarian to help Abid Saab, who used to come in 3 hours a day. When with another volunteer, Zara Mumtaz, I started visiting government-run schools to encourage children studying there to become members of the book bus, we saw the enthusiasm in their eyes, but the meager 10 rupee annual membership posed a problem for many of them. We also saw the lack of resources in their schools. I compared what they were being exposed to with what my children were getting. And should we not then shatter it to bits and remold it nearer to the heart's desire? Became the refrain in my head. So if children could not become members, we needed to extend access beyond just the paid membership. Opening its doors to children and friends of children, the Alif Laila Book Bus, with its grounded wheels, carried the responsibility of being a trailblazer and torchbearer. If the book bus was to advocate and pave the way for belief in children's libraries, it had to set a trend, and it did. The double-decker bus became a symbol, a place where children gathered because they could read books and become part of a program that encouraged them to own the place and carry it forward. How they did that was an education in itself. Just 2 examples. When the library had no funds, children brought in box loads of books to donate, and when one child became the recipient of a small TV and VCR, he brought it to the library to screen video films for other members. Sharing and caring took the project forward. And then I began to write books in Urdu, Pakistan's national language, got them illustrated and published so that reading Urdu books became fun and enjoyable. Books and children are amongst my greatest loves, and bringing the two together became a passion. I had become involved with Alif Laila for just that. I wanted those children who had never turned the pages of a book to do so. I wanted books to spread their magic, not only in affluent communities, but in squatter colonies as well. I can look back and say we made a start. Alif Laila's approach has always been whimsical, and that has succeeded in touching hearts and minds. The library we run in Lahore has sparked off the setting up of many and varied libraries in the country. People have found the place so enticing that the concept of children's libraries being safe and congenial places has taken root. Educators visit the Alif Laila from the entire country to take back ideas and methodologies. The mobile libraries are absolute winners. First the large storyteller, then the smaller one, and then rickshaws, three-wheeled small vehicles, whose maneuverability makes it easy to enter communities where the roads are very tight and traffic is a major problem. Alif Laila can quite happily say that the mobile family of libraries it has introduced has also been Pakistan's first. Strengthened by this model, many other organizations have embarked on the mobile library experiment. 18 organizations are now running rickshaw libraries. In 2020, during COVID, we introduced Pakistan's first camel library. Roshan the camel became as popular around the world as it was in its community, Mand, Balochistan. Today, there are 12 camel libraries nationwide. After last year's floods, we started a boat library, and now we have 2. Our project of setting up libraries in state-run schools allows those schools to pave the way toward independent learning and problem solving. We ran the project in the Punjab, in Multan and Muzaffarabad, and also worked in Bannu and Dera Ghazi Khan that are very conservative, in fact rigid and backward areas. Alif Laila's primary focus has been on girls. Many of them had never held a colorful book in their hands, and the library corners became great favorites. With support from IBBY, we set up a library in Azad Jammu and Kashmir after the earthquake of 2005. Again, with support from IBBY and Give to Asia, we set up Books Build Bridges libraries in hundreds of schools affected by terrible floods in 2010. These libraries were joyful and brought many a smile to traumatized children. After the earthquake of 2005, we worked closely with Save the Children and helped them run mobile libraries that had names, Joy and Hope being amongst them. Many years later, we were told that these libraries had done more for the children than repeated visits to the psychologists. We have set up libraries in schools in Swat and Hangu, areas where terrorist attacks took place. We see the healing power of books and their ability to allow children to think positive thoughts and hope. Books and libraries are a belief system with me. I genuinely feel that thought cannot progress and new ideas take seed in a society that does not value books and libraries. My life's work has centered around this thought. Being a member of IBBY has given me deep-rooted satisfaction. I have become part of a family that thinks the same thoughts, and the friends I have made encourage me to keep striving and moving on. It has also given me the opportunity to bring Pakistan's problems to the fore and gain immense support and compassion. Writing books for children has been a pleasure. I have tried to talk to children, not at them. It is joyful indeed to see them laugh out loud when they read some of the books and ponder when they read others. Children have been at the core of the work I have done. Trusting and believing in them has brought in untold rewards. We have always relied on the children's advice, and the strategies we have employed have been child-driven. The best thing about Alif Laila and its work is that it belongs to and is owned by the children. I am overjoyed to say that children's libraries are now being viewed seriously by our government, and Alif Laila is deeply content to have pioneered public debate around their need. I thank you all so much for your time. Please visit our Facebook page, Alif Laila Book Bus Society, whenever you have a few minutes to spare. It will keep us connected. That's my life in 15 minutes. And I don't really know why I took so long to live it. Thank you very much.
As I said earlier, we have two winners to this prestigious award, and I will now give a short introduction to the next one, and it is Irene Vasco. I think we can applaud. I will quote from the material submitted by IBBY Canada. Irene Vasco is a Colombian children's literature expert, lecturer, writer, and reading promoter. Her participation in conferences throughout the South American continent and Spain has made her an international authority in reading promotion and a renowned author of children's and young people's literature in Colombia and beyond. End of quote. Irene Vasco is a person with big influence in books for children. She started in the 1980s and has continued ever since then. Irene Vasco spared no means when it comes to spreading books for children. No place is too complicated, remote, or isolated for her to reach out to. She always carries books with her, and she shares the feeling that if you carry a book with you, you are mentally strong and can feel safe. Irene Vasco's work is well coordinated and replicated in many ways. She has shown innovation in a broad spectrum, from establishing community home village little libraries to how she shares the knowledge in how to use a printing press to understand the alphabetic code. Irene Vasco spreads her ideas in an inspiring way, and we will soon hear her tell us more about her successful work in her own words. Congratulations. Thank you. And thank you.
Okay, I'm very happy to be here. It's my first time in an IBBY meeting, an IBBY Congress, and I am amazed. The Selection Committee of International Young People Book Board, IBBY, chaired by Junko Yokota and sponsored by the Shenzhen IRead Foundation in China, thank you, has decided to grant me the IBBY-iRead Reading Promoter Award. In accepting this distinction, I express to you my deepest gratitude. I also express my gratefulness to IBBY Canada, to Marcela Mangarelli, who spent weeks organizing and translating the nomination documents, as well to Patty McIntosh, Yvette and Josiane, and the whole board for the trust in my work. I especially want to thank Diana Rey, director of Fundalectura IBBY Colombia, because she has the confidence to give my name to IBBY Canada. And I cannot let this word pass without thanking Luis Endrera, my dear friend and editor, Carolina Ballester, Shinting, and Winley. Thank you very much for the affection and the warm welcome to this organization. Of course, I want to congratulate Bazarat Kasim. Where is she? Bazarat, congratulations. It was beautiful to hear you. For your amazing commitment in creating libraries in Pakistan. Now I want to talk a little bit about my work. Carolina has, I didn't know it was there. Thank you for helping me with the pictures. Colombia is a young republic. We have 2014 years of being free. We were a Spanish colony, and in 200 years, we cannot change the stigma of the colonial time. Processes are very slow, and we have to get everybody to be free and to have a better country. You can go with some pictures. I go all over the country in any way. I have to take buses, boats, and walk in the jungle, and always carrying bags. Not always I have to carry, because as you see, someone is carrying my big bag full of books. If I try to walk in the jungle with that bag, I would never get any place. Because indigenous, peasants, and Afro-descendants were not allowed to go to school or to learn how to write and read. And if they cannot do that, they cannot be free, they cannot vote with the information, they cannot protect the lands, they cannot be real citizens, because their signature is a fingerprint without reading what they are signing. So I am part of a large number of reading promoters that go all around the country. I would like to share one first experience that was very strong for me. Going to the camps where the former guerrilleros, you know what guerrilla is the violent groups that want the power, and we have been in war for many years. There was a peace process some years ago, and the Biblioteca Nacional, the Minister of Culture, sent kind of libraries to those camps, and I went to some of those places, and it was very surprising. I thought in my mind that the guerrilleros were a very well-educated people, that they were aware of the country, the history, the political issues, but for my surprise, they were very ignorant. They couldn't read. They were young men and women that couldn't read. They left their small towns and went to the guerrilla because I remember a girl saying, my parents didn't let me go with my boyfriend, so I came to the guerrilla. Or another, my teacher didn't give me a good grade, so I came here. It was important for them because they had a uniform, an arm, and they got authority, they thought. And they were in the middle of a peace process, trying to go to the legal way, but they had not opportunities without being ex-combatants, not having abilities to work or to write or to read. So the peace process is not possible in that way. I have many doubts, many questions in my mind. For example, did the guerrilla authorities think that it was possible to build a free and peaceful nation only by fighting with arms? In the event, very unlikely, to gain power in the country, would these people govern without any education and without the ability to acquire in the trenches? I still wonder about the life of the kids who grew up in the camps. When I went, there were a lot of kids living with their parents who were guerrilleros. Do they learn to read? Will they have better opportunities than their parents? Will they integrate into civilian life as informed citizens? Do they read the books given by the Biblioteca Nacional? Are there reading promoters in charge in these new, small, isolated cities? Are these ex-combatants who come from violence without tools able to participate in civic life as free and productive citizens? I don't have positive answers. Nothing is clear. It's sad to think that the programs are not long enough to look. This picture is with the guerrilla. You can see their heroes over there. It's in a camp. And they were kids and their parents who had not arms in that moment, but I knew that they were there were fighters. It was as another country, very different to my country, even though it was Colombia. But now it's the Biblioteca La Alegría and the printing process. If I don't have answers for the experience with the guerrilla, I can tell with conviction how this community close to my house, my beach house in the Caribbean, has changed in 25 years. I used to go for vacation. I always had books with me, and my neighbors were around. I would read to them, but nobody knew how to write or how to read. Only one woman who had the 5th grade, a very nice woman, Carmen Antonia. She is my hero. She should be here instead of me. And one day she was seeing me reading, and she wanted to tell stories too. And I asked her if she wanted to have books to read. And her eyes brightened. And then I went back to Bogota, to my house. I prepared 100 books with some kind of distinction on the books, a red a spot for the babies and things like that, and the paper for kids to write their name and loan the books. I'm not going to read because I like to tell the story. And then we had the first storytelling hour at the beach. And she was so happy having 100 beautiful books, just good books, because I don't like having, okay, you know what kind of other books. And when I told her, kids have to take books home, she said, no, 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 they will lose everything, they will damage the books, they don't know. And I said, if you don't let the books go, nothing will happen. The books will come back, and if they come back, that's okay. No one will the books are for the kids. And I gave her one book from Editorial Juventud that Luis gave me some time before. And it's Tomás Aprende a Leer. With that book, she taught her husband how to read. And she started reading to the kids. They would come to her house. Now there is a real library, but for 8 years it was just in her house. And books would go and come with no signature or papers or bureaucracy, nothing, just confidence, just you can have the books because I know the books would come back. A world of human beings and the trust in that word. I think that is the most important thing that happened in that library. It was a very violent place because the narcotraficantes had beautiful beach houses. Pablo Escobar is the most known, but many others. And they had the young people from this small town, they had to serve them. And the girls had to understand what happened with the girls. It was very sad. But they are in jail or dead, and in 25 years of library, Carmen Antonia, bravo Carmen Antonia, has changed her community. We don't have any drug addict, any thief. The girls don't get pregnant. They study. Everybody go to school. Now we have kids in the university or in some other programs, and they can decide freely. The readers of La Alegría can freely choose between leaving their community, studying in big cities, working in companies far from their village, staying in the ancestral homes. They have the basic tool to function any place because they can read and write and have gateways to wherever they choose. Getting more books was important. I call many editors, but it was Editorial Juventud, Luis Cedrera again, who sent me 30 boxes, the full collection. And it was something that really changed the collection of the library. And the next step, I think, that in our way to educate people is not only read, but also write. Reading is essential to be a free citizen, but it's not enough. It is necessary to take a step forward in educating citizens that are able to write a petition, a consultation, to write news about their community, a message. Writing is also an act of freedom, which allows personal expression, preservation of memory, a persistence of a legacy. That is why when I visit communities where the written word is not alive, I look for strategies to encourage everyone, adults and children, to take paper and pencil and create small handmade books. And one of my favorite tools is the manual printing press. It's like a small Gutenberg style with a set of rubber letters where we apply ink, and we produce as many copies as we want. So everyone can take one copy of the handmade book to his house, to his home, and it means that they have the first book in a family library. And it's especially meaningful because I wrote my book and someone is going to read me. It's not a book from others, it's my book, and that's a big start for reading. When I feel that I can do that, I can understand the other authors' books. I'm glad I'm not alone in Colombia in this universe of reading and writing promotion. Public and private entities initiate programs each year. Many people remain committed to the nation's reading growth, and we can see that the country is moving, slowly but moving. With this sense of optimism, I say goodbye to all of you and express again my infinite gratitude for this award. I hope that one day you may visit Colombia, a beautiful and interesting country, full of contrasts, full of reading and writing programs that will lead us to advance in the construction of a free and better nation. And thank you very much.
Group. All right. Thank you once again for coming to this award-giving ceremony, and we cannot conclude but to say congratulations to our winners. Thank you for the inspiration that we've all received from the wonderful projects that they're engaged in. Again, thank you most sincerely to the IRead Foundation for having this opportunity for us to be able to give acclaim to the ones who are winners. Please join us tomorrow at the round table when we'll be bringing together discussions of the winners of IRead and the winner from Asahi, so that we can talk together about what reading promotion looks like in the world. Thank you again.